Yo, what up everybody? I'm Dave Miranda and this is episode 20 of Just Give Me 5. Hope you guys are doing well. And you know, I'm telling you, man, these rest in peace moments are starting to get a little overwhelming now, you know, and I understand that, you know, the only thing certain in life is death, but it's like, bruh, you know what I mean? Just hold up a little bit, you know? But man, it's only right that we acknowledge and send love in honor of the late, great, iconic Shock G of the legendary hip hop group Digital Underground. You know, Digital Underground is still to this day one of my favorite hip hop groups to ever do it. You know, because they made it a point to where it was fun. You know, you didn't have to take yourself so serious, you know, and the concept of them was just so genius, you know, with Shock having the alter ego, you know, of Shock G Humpty Hump, and you know, it just was so dynamic, you know. And quick story actually. So in 2008, there was a hip hop show in downtown Phoenix, and it was Tone Loc, Young MC, and Digital Underground was headlining. And so myself, my man Mega Ran, DN3, and my boy Rob, we all pulled up. And before the show, we see this gentleman walking by, and he's got like a long black mink coat, you know, long straight hair, and it had like a Chinese dragon in gold on the back of the coat. And he's walking towards the stage, you know. And I remember telling Ran, I'm like, yo, is that Shock? He's like, I don't know. And I was like, I mean, I know, you know, he's got the fro and everything, but I don't know if his hair's that long. He's like, I don't know, you know. So he walks up to the stage, gets on, and they immediately go into the Humpty Dance record. And so they're going into it. So the point where he's like, I'll drink up all the Hennessy you got on your shelf. He turns around. And when he turns around, it looks like he's putting some glasses on, you know, and I'm standing in the crowd. I'm just kind of looking like, what's going on here, you know? And then he just turns around and was like, so just let me introduce myself. My name is, and he just rips off his coat, and then he takes off, so it was a wig, so he takes off the wig, and he's got his fro, and he's got the glasses with the nose and the whole Poindexter, you know, like the Pee Wee Herman attire outfit. And the crowd is just going nuts, man. Like, we were like, oh shit, you know? And they just killed it, man. I mean, it was just an amazing show, right? So afterwards, he walks off stage, he's walking with the crowd, and he pulls up by us, and we just started chopping it up with him. And I'll never forget, he told us, he goes, you see, it wasn't that Tupac was tired of thug life, he was just tired of heading it. You know, it was just too much pressure for him. And I just remember sitting there like, that's what's up, you know, just kind of soaking it in. You almost felt like Pac was there at that moment too, you know? And, you know, I just remember, I'll never forget that moment, you know, and he was just real down to earth, took a flick with us, chopped it up a little more, you know, and that's something I'll never forget, man, you know, and just a good person, man. And so, you know, rest in peace to Shock G, and, you know, condolences to all of his loved ones. All right. If you guys caught episode 19, though, we had none other than the one and only Chino D. And let me tell you, man, like I said, man, that guy is a hip-hop historian, you know, and we were only cracking the surface of his history, you know. I mean, we could have gone for hours, you know. I told him to write a book, so we'll see if he listens to me. But much love and respect to my brother Chino D, and make sure you guys watch episode 19. All right. But today's guest has been a staple in the Arizona scene since the late 90s. You know, he was one of the official DJs for TMC Presents, and he actually hosted the majority of the shows. He was also the official DJ for the legendary Arizona hip-hop group No Question, which consists of himself, Poker Face, and Mike Wild. And like myself, he's also a hell of a collector. But I am nowhere near his level, trust me on that one. And we're gonna definitely talk about his collectibles for sure. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you, Darrell D.
Hey you, this is Darrell D talking to you. Take the corn dog out of your mouth, and all I'm saying is just give me 5. Jeez. Okay, this goes back actually to my childhood. As a kid, my parents bought my sister and I all of the Dr. Seuss books back in the day. And you know, Dr. Seuss, he was a spitter, he was a rhymer. And I was very intrigued by, you know, what he wrote. You know, I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. So I always was attracted to, you know, rhyming words and whatnot. And you know, you fast forward and, you know, when I was a youngster in school, you know, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, I would write these funny little stories and they would just kind of rhyme. They would rhyme at the end. They weren't like raps or anything like that. They were just kind of funny stories that rhymed. And my teacher would let me read them in front of the class. And, you know, I had the whole classroom cracking up and whatnot. And that's kind of where it started. And so, you know, time goes on and it's 1979, right? And so we lived in Mississippi at the time. And I'm in my room and I'm listening to the radio, WJMI, and I hear a hip, hop, a hippie, a hipper, a M-A-S, a T-E-R, a G with a double E. I said I go by the unforgettable name of the man they call the Master G. So I'm hearing this and all of this stuff that I had been doing as far as writing, all of this Dr. Seuss stuff that I heard as a kid, now it's like times 1,000. So imagine before knowing what rap music is, before pretty much it didn't even exist in your world, imagine hearing that and it's just like this huge. It was absolutely mind-blowing. I couldn't even believe that it existed at that time. So I was immediately attracted to that. And then as far as radio was concerned and being down south, you know, the three groups or artists that you heard was Sugar Hill Gang, it was Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, and it was Curtis Blow. And that's what you had. So right around 1985, 86, we moved back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is where I'm from, my hometown. And the radio stations up there, they were playing a lot more rap music because I didn't know that so many rap groups existed. Actually, the second phase, which was when I was still down south, you had the Fat Boys and you had Run DMC, and you had Houdini. And then I get back to Milwaukee and I'm hearing, you know, UTFO, and I'm hearing like indie rappers and indie labels. So I'm hearing stuff like Molly Mall, I'm hearing Craig G, Oh Veronica, I'm hearing Bad Boys and K-Love, and Rodney on Joe Cooley, Everlasting Bass, stuff like that. That was like real early. King T, You Better Bring a Gun, you know, stuff like that. And so it was just mind blowing. So I'm entering high school now, and you know, it's just like a lot of people. You get into rap, you join a rap group or whatever, and me and some classmates of mine, we formed this group called Prime Time. We were the Prime Time MCs. So I was 16 years old, freshman in high school, and we did our little thing. We went around the city, entering like talent shows, and we were in rap contests and won a lot. Was on TV, so to speak, and you know, we had our little 15 minutes of fame back then, and it was a real fun time. This was before everybody and their mother, like nowadays, wants to be a rapper, is trying to rap. You know, back then, you had a lot of people trying to rap, but those people were talented. You didn't just have anybody out there trying to do it. So it was a fun time. Rap music was brand new. You know, I wasn't there for the birth of rap music, but I was there all along the infancy stages of rap music. So just imagine something that you love and seeing it from the time it's a baby and watching it grow into an adult. Imagine the birth of a genre of music. I was there, and it was an incredible time. So I'm in high school, I get to my senior year, and I had to think about the future. And I was the only kid in my high school that was going to school, had his own apartment, and had a job. I actually got Marketing Student of the Year because I was the only one in my school doing that. So during my senior year, I'm thinking about the future, and as silly as this may sound now, back then I was thinking, well, you know, I'm about to go out into the world, make my way. I can't be a grown man running around trying to be a rapper. That's not grown man stuff. That's, you know, little kid stuff, even though rapping is a grown man business. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of left the whole rapping thing behind, but I still had a love for performing and being in front of people and just, you know, getting busy. So I was already buying records. I mean, everybody were at that time. Records were still the main medium of music to buy, records and cassettes. So I just naturally progressed into DJing. You know, I started doing parties in the late 80s, you know, and into the early 90s. In 1991, I got my first nightclub. It was a club inside of a bowling alley in Milwaukee called Red Carpet Lanes. I had every Friday night. Every Friday night I had the line wrapped all the way down the side of the building. And even, you know, I remember I would go to work in the middle of winter, it'd be 10, 20 below zero, walk in the door and the manager says, hey, you know, we're just gonna play it by ear. It's pretty cold. Nobody will probably show up. Packed, sardine packed. Every Friday night, the entire time, you know, that I worked there. And that's how I pretty much got my feet wet as far as clubs are concerned. Now in Milwaukee, all of the DJs at the time, you did any kind of DJing that was paying money. So in addition to clubs, I also did a lot of mobile DJing, you know, a lot of parties, and I started throwing parties myself at different pavilions around the city, inviting all my friends, and you know, we party out like that. And the mid 90s, I meet a couple guys that had a DJ group called Phono Funk, Robot Rock and Medicine Man. So I joined those guys, and the three of us, we had like an official mobile DJing company, and we did it all. You know, you talk about weddings, you talk about picnics, you're talking about radio, you're talking about nightclubs. Anybody that was paying, high school dances, you name it, we were there getting busy. And a lot of times all of us would be gigging at different places around the city on the same night. And we really made a name for ourselves. And that continued. And we all eventually moved out here to Arizona. And that was, I was the first to come out here in 1998. And I've been so incredibly privileged to do all of the DJing that I did. And I came out here and I told myself that once I got to Phoenix, I wasn't gonna DJ at all unless the DJing fell right in my lap. And all of the DJing that I've done since I've been in Arizona 22 years now has fallen in my lap. So those that know and that are familiar with me just know that I was approached every single time to DJ, and I just kind of wait until somebody, you know, invites me or approaches me, and then I go out and just try to have a good time. And I've been very privileged over the years to have been able to DJ all over the country. I occasionally get outside of the country to DJ. I've DJed for some of your favorite rappers, and I've done a lot of cool things, bumped elbows with a lot of cool people, and it's just been a fabulous, fabulous ride. I really can't ask for too much more. DJing has been a hobby, outlet, and a blessing to me, and I hope I can keep doing it. Okay, so the videography came in, that pretty much started off in high school. When I was in high school, I used to record everything rap related or everything related to hip hop culture off of television. To this day, I have a few boxes full of old VHS tapes of everything that I could grab off of television. So if Run DMC or Kool Moe Dee was performing on the American Music Awards or the Soul Train Awards, I was recording that. If Biz Markie was on Showtime at the Apollo or Run DMC was on Reading Rainbow, I was recording that. Anything that I could record. We had a really great public access channel where we had a lot of rappers on there. I would record all of that stuff, and I just happened to still have all of that footage, you know, to this day. And so that's where it kind of started. After when I went into the 90s, early to mid 90s, I got involved with the public access channel in Milwaukee, MATA Channel 14. And anybody that's familiar with public access know that you can pretty much do your own show, use the equipment that the city provides for you, and pretty much just do whatever you want to do. So me being a DJ, I just started filming a lot of DJs and DJ related parties and events and whatnot. My show was called Darrell's DJ Spotlight. And I had tons of DJs. Every local DJ you can think of in Milwaukee at the time was on my show. And then I've had like a lot of some of your favorite famous rappers, you know, Kid Capri, DJ Rectangle. You know, I remember actually sneaking into the Def Comedy Jam just so I could interview Kid Capri. It was a fun show. I was like, you know, famous around, you know, Milwaukee. A lot of people knew the show. It was well watched. You know, it was kind of made me, you know, a name, and I kind of got a reputation for being a videographer. I soon started going into concerts and recording different artists, different rap concerts. Me and my boy, Professor Pitt, we would bum rush a lot of concerts, you know, back in the day and get backstage and, you know, you name it. Because Pitt, he had a rap show. I had a DJ show. So we would get in these shows and I'd run the camera for him while he was interviewing Houdini. And then he'd run the camera for me while I was interviewing Grandmaster D. So we kind of ran like that for years, and I have all of this footage, you know, that I've, you know, been accumulating all of these years. And so I just kind of got a reputation for it. I'm not a videographer. I was just a guy with a camcorder who was going around recording. You know, a lot of people were doing that. I just happen to still have all of that footage. And, you know, I've been slowly uploading it to YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, simply Darrell D on YouTube, and you can go and see a lot of this old footage, some from the 80s, some from the 90s, and some from the 2000s and all the way up till now. And I also talk about a lot of records on that channel as well. So that's where the whole video thing came from. But I've been fortunate to catch some really cool stuff. For instance, I was just telling somebody this the other day. I had a buddy, Mike J, who back in like '96, he went over to Chicago to catch this hieroglyphics concert. And he actually, after the show, talked the hieroglyphics into coming all the way to Milwaukee just to do an interview. So I have footage of the hieroglyphics chilling out on my homeboy's front porch, freestyling. Wow. Like the entire hieroglyphics crew. I have that footage, and I'm gonna upload that eventually. So it's like real cool stuff like that that I've been able to capture and then just kind of share with people. So the whole video thing has also been a blessing, and I've got some mind-blowing stuff to share with everybody. Collectibles. Okay, let me tell this story in two parts. First of all, we go back to my childhood again, and you know, my parents were fantastic people. You know, my sister and I, we had so many toys, and you know, my parents provided for us wonderfully. You know, we had a lot, and I held on to a lot of that stuff for a long time. You know, they made sure that, you know, we were entertained and taken care of. Just one story I love telling people is when I was 6 years old and my sister was 7, one Saturday morning, my father takes us to Toys R Us. And we go in there, okay, we're going to Toys R Us, we're gonna get a toy. We walk in, my father says, okay, get whatever you want. What? Get whatever we want?
Right.
Really? So he said, yeah, get whatever you want. So we grabbed a basket and we went up and down every aisle in Toys R Us. And whatever we saw something we wanted, we grabbed it and we put it in a basket. Up and down every aisle. My father never said a word, he just followed behind us. So now the basket is full. So we turned to him, we said, hey, can we get some toys for Sean and Aaron, which were our cousins who lived around the corner? He said, yeah. So now we start grabbing stuff for our cousins. Now the basket is overflowing. And when we were done, we said, okay, we're done. He says, okay, let's go. Go to the cash register, pay for all that. We go home with a whole carload full of toys. So, you know, the collecting, you gotta put that on my parents, man. They kind of put that bug in me, and I would collect anything and everything. You know, trading cards. I was a huge comic book collector. My father would buy me comic books. My mother, you know, you could buy comic books from Walgreens back then. I had the Superman versus Muhammad Ali comic book that was like this big. Crazy collector's item right now. And I used to carry my comic books around in a paper bag because I never wanted to, you know, be without them. And, you know, all of the toys and stuff, it was fantastic. My parents were wonderful people, Leroy and Irene Dixon. And so it kind of started from there. So you move on, you know, stuff come and go. I go into my adulthood, and now I'm going to flea markets and thrift stores and swap meets and garage sales on my own, and I'm grabbing all of this stuff that I had from my childhood and all of the stuff I didn't have from my childhood, and I'm just reliving my youth all over again with these collectibles. And you don't think of them as collectibles, you think of them as just this, you know, the stuff that you're buying that you want to keep forever. And, you know, somebody else usually gives it that, you know, that title collectible, but you're just, you know, buying stuff that you know, enjoy having and whatnot. It just grew and grew and grew, and I started, you know, collecting cassettes, and I started collecting action figures and lunch boxes and just everything I could get my hands on. Next thing you know, it's a collectible. You know, if you go to a basketball game and you get some, you know, athlete to sign your shirt or your baseball cap, and you know, you're just doing it because you're a fan of this person, but that's ends up being a collectible. You know what I mean? So you don't set out to have a collectible, but you end up having a collectible. The next aspect I want to talk about is record collecting. Because that's a whole different type of collectible. Around 92 is when a lot of the major labels stopped pressing a lot of vinyl because that whole CD revolution was coming in. I remember going to a store in Milwaukee, this big, huge record store called Mainstream. And I go in there one day, and Mainstream was like the size of a Walgreens. And it was like 75% vinyl, 25% cassette tapes. So I go in there one day, and like 95% of the vinyl is gone. It was just gone. And they slowly started filling the store with CDs, compact discs. And that was the time period when a record came out, you had to grab it right then, because when it was gone, it was gone. It was out of there. Just by default, records became collectibles because they only printed a limited amount and you had to get them while you could get them. And so that's where the whole record collecting came in. And whether you were a DJ or just somebody who loved music, you automatically became a record collector, just by default. So that's where all of the records came in, and my collection just grew and grew and grew. And there you have it, you know, I'm a vinyl nerd. Well, I don't know about all that. But, you know, I just try to be a good person. You know, my parents taught us to love one another, to love our neighbors. I just try to be positive. I try to keep my environment clean. I try to be good to people. You know, I don't do drama. I don't do any of that nonsense. You know, if people who know me, they know I have a genuine heart. They know that I'm not an aggressive person. I'm not a mean person. I try to be generous when I can, and I just try to be an example of what I would like other people to be. I treat others as I want to be treated. You know, that's the book of Matthew right there. I'm always appreciative when people express to me, you know, that I've done something that you know, they've enjoyed, that I've said something that encouraged them, that I helped them along in some kind of way. And I draw, you know, inspiration from people as well. I'm always taking notes. I'm always studying people because I'm always trying to become a better person. You know, we're all imperfect. We all fall short. You know, so it's just like a daily routine to try to be a better person. So to everybody out there that, you know, that have shown me love, I want to sincerely say thank you. And, you know, we are all we got. So if anybody ever needs Darrell D, you know where to find me. No, I don't have any shout outs, but I do have some beef that I want to address with a few people. First of all, that chick at Circle K the other day, I asked her out. You told me to get lost and go find some better clothes. You know what? I didn't want to date your ugly buck-tooth behind anyway. That's why you jocking that cash register. So be gone with you. Next, Chino D. Chino, when I was standing on the bus stop the other day, I thought you was gonna stop and give me a ride, and you rolled over my shoes and kept going. There's beef. Oh yeah, there's beef. When I see you, it's on. It's on sight. I'm letting you know ahead of time. And last but not least is you, Mr. Miranda. I'm letting you know right now, if me and Jimmy don't get our check for doing this later, we burning this place down. Matter of fact, I don't even know. I'm out of here, man. I don't even know why I'm still here. This interview's over.
And there you have it. Nothing but love and respect for my man Darrell D. You know, the guy is a true gem, fascinating individual, you know, full of knowledge and has so much history. And he's not afraid to share it with people, you know. He passes it on and, you know, it's just a real giving individual, man. So nothing but love and respect for you, my brother. Make sure you guys are following him on social media. Shout out to my brother Jimmy Nelson on that camera. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also don't forget to click that bell notification so you can get them email updates on, you know, our upcoming episodes. So make sure you stay in tune with that. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode, because I did, you know, and like my father tells me, man, tough times don't last, tough people do. Continue to stay tough, everybody. So until next time, stay tuned, stay blessed, stay healthy. Just give me 5, y'all.